Hi, I'm Danica. You're watching Danica the Artist. If you're a griever or just feeling stuck, this beginner art activity is just for you. If you've never done art before, or if you are an established artist, you might be caught up in doing things right and having a vision that you want to complete, and feeling down on yourself if you're not making it look like you envisioned it to be. The thing about grief art is that it's all about the process. The product is nice to have because it solidifies something you've gone through, or processed through, and you can look at it, reflect, and all of those things. But what's the most important is the process that you went through in creating it. So I want to show you some pictures of an artist that is really good at embracing the process that I learned from personally, and that you can too. Motoi Yamamoto is a Japanese artist who was born in 1966. He lost his sister to brain cancer in 1994, and a lot of his work since then has been processing the grief and the healing after losing his sister. Motoi uses salt to symbolize ashes. Ashes are very important in the Japanese Buddhist tradition and the Hindu tradition, which is the context where he is grieving. His cultural influence growing up influenced how he processed grief. Even though Motoi has traveled throughout the world, he still maintains the traditions of where he grew up. And those traditions help him to figure out how to mourn and find meaning after the loss of his sister. So Motoi uses tiny grains of salt in a little bottle and then deposits them in lines throughout the space. He makes things that resemble labyrinths, mandalas, and even hurricanes from the bird's eye view. Each little tiny circle in one of his pieces, he says, encapsulates a little memory of his sister. Now these works take hours and probably days to make. And the importance of that is very significant for Motoi. As he goes throughout this process of creating this art, he's also meditating. He's working on his own self and his heart, and he's also remembering his sister as he creates these works. Now, the finished work is quite spectacular, but he's not focused on that as much. He's focused on the process. And I know this because after the work is finished and exhibited in the space, he has all of the audience participate in a special ceremony to let go and say goodbye. He has all of the audience come in and scoop up the salt and then go to the nearest body of water, whether it's in London or the LA, and they go and take the salt and they throw it into the river. That symbolizes for him the circle of life, that these salt, these ashes are being deposited back into the water to create life for the marine life, to give back to the earth. So I thought that was a very interesting process that Motoi goes through to help facilitate others' grief and to help facilitate his own grief. So we're going to focus on process today. So as you go through your grief, whether it's in your art times or outside of your art times, you might be tempted to look ahead and to feel frustrated that you've not arrived yet to some ethereal place of peace or rest or resettlement. I want you to feel encouraged that the process is most of the work, that just rushing ahead will shortcut your grief in a way that is not healthy or healing. But going through the process, finding the value in the process, and just embracing it will give you the most healing. There's something beautiful about going through your emotions and acknowledging them, and then letting them go. So we're going to practice that today in our salt art piece. Today we're going to be making salt paintings. It's inspired by mandalas from India, as well as grief rituals from Japan. What's important about this piece is not the beauty of the finished product, but its process. Let's get to it. Today we're going to use the templates that I provided on the website. Go ahead and print it out on cardstock if you have cardstock. If you just have white printer paper, that's okay, but it's going to wrinkle a little bit under the weight of the glue. So cardstock is what I'll use for this example. Also, we're going to use sea salt. I have just a plain Morton from the store. Any salt will work. Sea salt is a little bit bigger grain, so it's a little more dramatic of an effect. We'll also be using Elmer's glue, or any type of glue you can use maybe a small paintbrush with. I like to use Elmer's because of the tip that we're going to draw with. And finally, we'll use watercolors. You can use either the palette or the squeeze ones. The squeeze ones are a little bit better for what we're going to do today, but the palette type will work too. Alright, so I have my template. This is a snowflake that I drew out for myself, made available to you on my PDF. It's also similar to Motoi's work, as he was using things that looked similar to Indian mandalas, which are repeating elements around a central kind of circle. So we're going to cover the inside of this with glue, cover it with salt while it's still wet, and then once that dries, we'll color the glue and salt with watercolor. It'll be a really pretty effect. So let's get started. This is a really easy process that we're going to use Elmer's to just cover the inside, so we're drawing with it. And again, we've been talking about the process, embracing the process. So I want you to just enjoy watching the glue kind of spread. Enjoy the softness of it, the color, the white, the calm kind of look. Put on some nice music as you're drawing and just enjoy. Fill up all the space and we'll meet back once it's filled. Motoi Yamamoto used each of the circles that he was drawing, each one thinking about a specific memory of his sister. And so the finished work was kind of like it was encapsulating all of the memories. And the compilation of the memories made up the person of his sister. So as you're circling, why don't you think about some memories of your loved one? Maybe there's a happy memory, a sad memory, maybe a time when that loved one made you angry. As I'm circling this one, I'm remembering my dad and I. We had a favorite place on our back porch. There's a beautiful porch swing that creaked when you rocked back and forth. But the best part about it was the view. It faced a beautiful pond that my dad had built himself, and it had birch trees bordering it. I love how the sunlight shone through the birch leaves and how the wind rustled the leaves. It's a really good memory. I love to just sit and rock with my dad there. Alright, so the whole shape is covered with glue, but sometimes I like to fill in things outside of the lines too. So if you are brave and thinking about it, maybe go ahead and draw some other things. Maybe in the white spaces or making lines around, filling the white space, whatever you feel free to do. So I'm just going to make some things up and you can too. After you're finished with the glue and it feels good, go ahead and take your salt. And here comes the fun part. You're going to salt your piece all over, covering the glue spots.
so that all of it is covered with salt. Remember, it's all about the mess. Once you're done with the salt, go ahead and shake off some of the excess. You won't be able to get it all off, but you will when it dries. After the quick shake, go ahead and set the piece aside to dry for the couple hours, and we'll come back to it in a bit. Alright, so we have our dried salt painting. I'm going to rub all over and get the loose salt off so that it won't crumble where I hang it up and display it. So there's our finished salt painting. You can see the lines are much more refined after having rubbed off the excess salt. A little piece of mine actually rubbed off when I was getting the excess off, so I'm just going to take the Elmer's glue and glue it down again. Cool, so I'll clear the work surface and then I'll work on some color. Alright, time to add some color. Alright, so I'm going to use some watercolors. I squirted them out from the tube kind, and I have my water here. So I'll take some water and dip it in the color. Make sure it's pretty watery. From here, you're just going to barely touch the surface of the salt with a paintbrush full of the paint. Watch it spread. Oh, isn't that thrilling? Oh, it's so beautiful. Just get as much color as you want, wherever you want it. Do this slowly and watch it travel. Don't be so eager to get more paint. Don't forget to use lots of water. Oh, it's gorgeous. Got some purple in there. Ooh, that one spreads really well. So again, I'm just tapping lightly the surface of the salt. Sometimes I keep the paint on the brush and just add more water. Let's start getting these lines out here. See what we can do with those. Again, remember it's all about process here. Not working towards the finished product per se, but we're just watching the piece envelop, develop on its own. Now down here, I'm just using the color on my brush. It's a little bit dark, a little bit muddy kind of looking, but it's giving a good feel to the edge. I'd say it's also symbolic too of letting out whatever happens to be inside, whether it's beautiful or not editing. It's a good lesson. Alright, and there we have it. This piece is simply gorgeous, but it also memorializes the process that we went through in order to get there. We traced an object with glue, and then we added around it. We sprinkled ashes, or salt, symbolic ashes, on top and let it dry, and then came back to it after letting go of the ashes by scraping them off, dusting them into the trash. Then we added color by selecting different ones and then just touching things and watching them transform. I hope that you've enjoyed the process, that you've released some of yourself into it, and that some of these places where you thought of your loved one captured a few memories for you, and maybe even regained a few that you had lost. And don't forget to sign. It tells us it's yours. If you found some new insight or inspiration, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. That lets me know that you want to see more videos just like this one. I'm a certified therapeutic art life coach, as well as an artist, art teacher, art minister, and creative mama. Jeez. You can check out my artwork and learn more about my coaching and other projects at danicatheartist.com. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.